Hey,
Hey there. Hey, Taylor. How are you?
how's it?
We're good. Mostly, right?
We're good.
All right. I just was seeing your wine tour thing from that Laura sent us from a long time ago in March. The
Little
last
did you
time.
know that would be the next year.
Yeah, it is kind of how it is. Anyway, all right. I think I think we have everything we need. Let's see. I was going to. We're going to do our share the screen thing. Nope, we're not going to do that. That's weird. I had to have the Demio tech people help me with rescheduling everything.
Okay.
There we are.
Oh, God. That's a long time ago.
You haven't changed an iota. It was probably 15 minutes ago. Yeah.
Hopefully our water heater turns off. Sorry about that.
It's all right. Typical.
One thing we can do is watch the chat. Yeah, and see.
I think we have 19 people.
Cool. Anyone?
You know, all the last.
Should we be worried about anybody?
I didn't have a chance to look at who's invited, but if they get sassy, I'll kick them out.
I'm not worried.
Yeah. So it's all good.
We won't drink on screen, but we're giving ourselves liquid courage right now.
It's all right. I actually had a glass of wine the last time because I thought, oh, tra-la-la, I've got this down. Well, that was the biggest disaster ever. So I'm not having anything yet. But you guys, it is supposed to be after hours.
That's true. We can promote it if you want. Here, we'll take a selfie.
Well, you know, it is sort of a thing where here comes Laura.
Hi. Hi.
Hey. They're having beverages.
Oh. I'm not going to pretend like I'm not jealous.
So I'll take yourself out.
Look how cute you guys are in this photo.
Megan was having a good hair day.
I was having the worst hair day of my life. It was like here, frizz, my roots were showing. I was reverse skunking. It was a rough day, but we made it through.
I like
It's
it.
darling, and if that's a bad hair day, I don't even want to talk about it.
That's what I'm saying, Nancy.
Well, Taylor's hair is always like sleek and perfect, and I'm like Hermione Granger in the corner.
It's not a great thing.
Hermione is cool.
Yeah, thank God for her, man. Making frizzy hair cool.
Well, the whole Harry Potter series would kind of fall flat without her.
Mm-hmm.
She is the glue that held that whole team together.
I mean, we didn't really need Ron, let's be honest.
Didn't need Harry either. Just needed him for his blood.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Anyway.
So you're in your garage.
Yeah.
We're in our garage. I tried to make it pretty. I put up the other board.
This is like I have no arm.
Look at that. Gorgeous.
Ooh, fishing rods.
So you're going to do like a little tour.
This is Harry.
This is weird. Okay. Oh, don't move this now.
This is the Centennial Hall plant.
I can't see.
It's still alive
Yeah,
somehow.
I can't see it.
we can't.
It's like
Huh?
a snake
It's
plant.
a plant.
Oh, the one behind you?
Yeah, Nancy calls it a mother-in-law plant because you can't kill them.
You can't. Well, mine's starting to go. I'm going to have to try to
I'm
pull it back.
sorry.
Your new mother-in-law.
The plant.
I know we'll live to be 300.
They're pretty resilient. Yeah. I have a really big one that unfortunately all the things are like flapping over.
Love them. They're actually pretty good today. It's a goddamn miracle.
Your bangs.
Yeah. You never know. You just get out of the shower and you have no idea what the day is going to be like.
Yep.
It was Taylor's most favorite decision I've ever made about myself.
Was the bangs.
They turned out
She kept
okay.
saying, absolutely not. Do not do that.
They worked
I was
out.
like, I did it. And then I cried for a little while.
Let's just do a whole demo on your bangs.
Oh, God. It was a series of anxiety attacks.
Ups and downs.
I looked like straight out of freaking Queen.
No, worse. Queen was fashionable.
The first day was a little Orphan Annie, but they look really good now.
I know that you had
Thank
bangs,
you.
so there you
They
have it. They look charming.
Thank you. They're working out. I'm getting used to them. I tried every now and then. I try and straighten them, and it's not the right cut for the straightenings.
You can't do the DJ Tanner.
Yes.
How do you make this bigger?
All right, where is everybody?
Well, it's Juno, so they still have 10 minutes.
It's 6:53 on my clock.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's Juno.
10 minutes.
Oh, is the demo time different?
Well,
Is
it's
what you
just
told me
that
earlier?
it starts from when I opened it up. So we've been open for 7 minutes. So when you're trying to calculate, it should actually be 15 minutes by the time we start the real thing.
Oh, okay.
So better.
Is it
It's
open
open
now?
now. Although I have to.
Oh, your ringtone hasn't
I
changed.
have to let people in. And usually I try to do that right at 7.
Wow, we should have done this on our.
Megan, is your sister still playing Animal Crossing?
I don't know. That's a good question.
That is a good question.
Are you, Laura?
I mean, I don't want to talk about it, but I was just curious.
I think you do want to talk about it because you brought it up.
I was just wondering. I took a break for a little bit.
I'm posting about it right now.
Well, no one new can join.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, Ryan tried to join. He said it
Well,
was
that's
shut
because there's a
down.
new link, and I think Rochelle just put the new link up on the website. Because I had all these problems where I opened it to fix it, and what I should have done was not that.
I can send the new link to people.
Can you put the link on Instagram and Facebook?
I think Rochelle can. Hey, can you send me the new link?
I don't think I can. I don't want to go out again.
Okay, don't worry. I think I will figure it out. I have an idea.
Rochelle said
Got
she
it.
was going to post it.
Okay, that's what I will do.
On Facebook, I guess.
Is he on Facebook?
She said just
Yeah.
finishing the website, everything else is swapped out.
Okay.
My phone said earlier. Dun, 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 dun. We got a tongue drum for Christmas, and in the book you can learn how to play the Game of Thrones theme song.
I still haven't watched that.
Pua is in.
Hi, Pua.
Maybe I don't have to let everybody in. Maybe they're just going to come in.
I'm writing an email real quick.
Mm-hmm. Feels so quiet. How does this happen?
Kathleen is in. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Perfect.
Catherine.
Okay. Lean.
Why does it say Catherine?
Can you send the public link? Hi, Bo.
How would you like me to send? Oh, I'll put it. Where do you want me to put it?
Email or messenger or whatever.
Okay.
Just tell me where, and then that's where I'll go.
I'm going to Messenger.
Mm-hmm.
And this time I'm not sending it to Max.
Max is Laura's other husband.
He's the side chick. All right.
God, reading is so
Our
slow.
internet has been bad too.
I'm glad this is working.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay. No, copy that and send it to Ryan.
All right.
You can send it on Facebook.
All right. I just sent out a new email with the new link.
well, the woman that helped me get it reset up said everybody should be getting an invite, the 15-minute invite with this link.
Cool. I know some people will go last minute.
Yeah, because the one on the website is saying it's not available.
Hi, Jackie.
Can you put that link in the chat? And I'll put it
Sure.
on the front page. I thought
Yep.
Rochelle was doing that, but she probably had the wrong. Get homepage to show up.
I didn't read it.
Oh, it was for your anniversary. He said he needed help with some stuff. It's like, are you finally gonna propose? Did you guys see that new Michaela Goes? That's pretty exciting.
Oh,
Super cool.
let's give it another minute or two and then we can get started. We are going to be recording tonight's presentation. So we can send it out to people too, or have it for you guys as well. I know I already had a few people say, oh, I'm going to be busy tonight. I can't watch it, but if you record it, we'd like to see it. So I'm okay
We
with one
usually
of them.
put it on your little place on our website where it said we were doing Marms and Meeks things.
It's good.
I just posted on our social media too.
So what if we gave everybody 5 minutes? So 3 minutes for chatting amongst yourselves in the chat box, folks.
I guess we could do a mini Q&A right now if anyone wants, because it's open in public, right? Yeah, I'd say give people 5 if there was a link problem, but totally up to you guys.
You could show off Meeks.
He is banned from the garage.
He'll be too loud.
He's
Naughty boy.
not the most predictably quiet dog.
There he is.
There he is.
Audio is garbled.
All audio, Catherine, or just ours?
And does anyone else hear bad audio? Okay.
Wonder if it's the internet. Catherine's internet. Pua said she can hear us. Oh yeah.
North Douglas, yeah.
I should replace that bulb.
I think it's fine.
Technology, always a problem.
Echo with some voices and Lauren's typing.
I think if you guys are listening to it, if somebody's listening to it and has, so it's got to be one of us. I'm going to take my mic out.
Oh, okay. Is that any better? Yeah. Cool. I know, it's so quiet. There's lights in our garage. Taylor and I have made ourselves after hours cocktails, so while there's still time, we encourage anyone else to either do a mocktail or a cocktail.
Grab a snack or a beverage, or maybe you're making dinner, but that's perfect.
Yeah, maybe you're doing this while you're making dinner.
I might need another one.
Cocktail.
You have time to go make it.
Okay. Do I?
Taylor's re-upping. Liquid Courage. Our classic is Aperol Spritz. Oop, it's backwards, I forget. Prosecco, soda, and Aperol, blood orange liqueur. I'll try to slurp very quietly, Rochelle.
I think that will be perfect. Once Taylor comes back, we can
Great.
get started.
Cool. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the sun. I went camping out at Windfall Lake last night. It was super fun. It was cold but beautiful. It was good to get out of town for a minute. You know how we can't really travel right now, so it's just like any break from the normal routine is exciting. Okay. I think we're ready.
Get started. My name's Laura Marco. I work at the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council. I am the artist program manager, and one of the things that we needed to do when the pandemic hit was to find ways to program and reach out to people in a safe way. and this was one of the programs that came from that. We really enjoy it. Every month we try to highlight a lobby shop artist and talk to them a little bit about how they got started, their business, and then if you guys have any questions, we always have a Q&A session at the end. This month we have Taylor Bear and Megan Chambers from Marms and Meeks. So I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself, and they have a little bit of a presentation, and then we will go into a Q&A a little bit later.
Cool. Thank you. I'm Megan.
I'm Taylor.
And we are very good friends and co-owners of a small art and design company called Marms and Meeks. We named it after our dogs, of course, so that's why it's kind of a weird name. We have a presentation. It's pretty short because we want to make sure we have lots of time for Q&A, so we'll keep it 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll open it up at the end. So Taylor's going to start us off and talk about the business, and then I will talk about letterpress.
Thanks everyone for joining us. Like Megan said, we are Marms and Meeks, and we started in 2015. We first started out digitally printing different things on scientific journal paper as well as charts. We wanted to combine our love of science and art, and we originally sold paintings, digital prints, the chart prints, and also some canvas products, as you can see in the photo below. Not sure if it's below us, but in the photo. Yeah, we sold through our online store. We did several markets, and we were in the Jack lobby shop. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So we kind of went strong at that. It's been a side business for us. We both have full-time jobs. Taylor is a scientist at NOAA. I met her when I was contracting at the lab there, and I worked for the Arts Council for a long time. And I just switched and I work at the new brewery in Ock Bay. And so we both still work full-time, and we've managed to keep this business part-time. And sometimes that was hard and sometimes it was not. But we started to slowly get custom illustration commissions, things like pet portraits, family postcards. We did some recipe cards, things like that. And then we started learning about different printing styles. We took a block printing class from Jim Heumann. His wife, Catherine's on this thing tonight. And somehow I can't remember where I first learned about it, but we purchased some letterpress cards just on our own. And then I discovered letterpress on the internet. And I started to look into it more and learn about it. And then I became obsessed and shared it with Taylor and forced Taylor to become obsessed too. It's not that hard though, because we think it's pretty cool. And we thought about maybe transitioning into that. So we did some research. We found out that there's maybe no one doing it in Juneau, although it's hard to tell. And there's no commercial letterpress printing shops that are working full-time in Alaska, as far as we can tell. So I may be proved wrong at any moment, but to understand what letterpress is and why we like it so much, I did a couple slides on the history of letterpress because it's kind of finicky and old and weird, and I think it's helpful to know a little bit more about how it works. So here's an extremely brief and incomplete history of letterpress printing, beginning with Mr. Gutenberg in the 15th century, although actually in China, the first original block prints, repeated text on paper, I think in like 800 AD. So very old, and then of course later, a little bit later in Europe. Anyway, 1400, oh, can we go back one slide, please? Thank you. This is a photo of Gutenberg's press. It's that tall standing structure kind of in the back. And then that bureau that's in the front is where you keep type. And so he created movable type, like individual letters out of metal and wood. You'd arrange the letters lock them up in a frame, put them on the flat part of that press bed, put paper on that, and then push a weight down. And then you'd have your paper or your book. He also invented a special type of ink that would stick to metal and not to wood. So he is one of the founding fathers of letterpress. Next, please. Presses stayed the same for a pretty long time. They didn't really change in technology for about 500 years until we get to the 1800s, and we see the invention of the platen press. Platen means plane-to-plane printing or clamshell printing, and so it's I wish I could like move a cursor, but in that middle photo where that person is putting a card, that plate clamshells into another plane that's right below that round ink disc, and that's how the impression and the ink is made on the paper. They are originally manually operated, so there was a foot treadle that you would pump, and that would spin that big wheel and power the press. And later on, they added motors, and people have platen presses now and manually will add motors onto their presses. And then there's an image of our press, which is yeah, right there. So we have a platen press, same idea, but it is small because we do our work in the garage, and we operate it by pulling that lever, which I'll explain more in a minute. Next slide, please. So platen presses stuck around for a while, and then finally Germany again comes back with press technology and invents the Heidelberg windmill, which is a fully mechanized printing press. It has, instead of individually feeding paper, which is what everyone had done in the printing industry before, these vacuum suction bars lift up the paper from the feed tray. They deposit it onto the platen, which is where you normally feed the paper for pressing in. They do the printing, and then they move it one more time, so in a big windmill motion, to the delivery tray. And it became a really versatile workhorse for the printing industry, and still is today. However, in the 1940s and then 40s, 50s, 60s, offset and digital printing made a big debut and meant the death of letterpress, essentially, because all of a sudden you could produce hundreds of thousands of copies in a much more efficient manner and without as much manpower. So letterpress almost died. The machines stopped being made. People weren't using it anymore. And then Martha Stewart happened. The Martha Stewart empire branched into the wedding industry, and somehow the wedding industry decided that letterpress wedding invitations were the way to do it. And that kickstarted really the whole letterpress economy again. Martha Stewart was a major player. She wasn't the only one, but I think that really popularized the use on the internet. And so now, today, we see thousands of both large and small print shops offering cards, custom printing, invitations, and all kinds of stuff. So this is a screenshot just of Googling letterpress wedding invitations, and you'll see hundreds and hundreds of hits for that. There's a really interesting article. We can send out the link, or I can put it in the chat. It's a Wired article about letterpress printing, and it goes through that whole history in more depth if you're interested. So that's my brief history. This is our press, and during the Q&A we can go look at it closer, but it is a Chandler & Price pilot press, old style. It has a 6.5 by 10 inch chase, which means that's the largest print area we can do. And it was built on or before 1911. These particular models were fairly common back in the day, and so they didn't give them registration numbers, but we know that they stopped making them in 1911. So we found this press online. There's a couple in Minnesota, I think, is where they're from. Mm-hmm. He's a retired Air Force mechanic, and his new job is to restore letterpress machines. So it's pretty cool that we were able to work with them. He totally restored the press so that Taylor and I didn't have to learn how to do it, which would have taken years and years and we could just start printing as soon as we got it. So we'll walk through briefly how we work and what we do for letterpress. It's taken us about a year to figure it out. No one in Alaska does it, or then COVID happened, so I couldn't go. I think AK Litho has a press. They have a Heidelberg wood mill, I've heard, but it's a little hard to stop by and drop in and just kind of shove yourself in someone's business. So due to the pandemic, so I've learned online, blogs. I attended a conference online, and a lot of Reddit wormholes. So the first thing you do is you order your design to be printed, or if you have metal or wood type, you arrange your design. So photopolymer was also a big part of letterpress coming back to life, because it meant that artists could make their designs, submit their files to the photopolymer plate maker. They would make this plate, and boom, you're good to go. So the design is made in a machine that is UV sensitive, and so you give the machine a reverse negative, and it makes this raised item. Taylor has the particular whale thing. You can hold it up. Yeah, you can see the gold part might be hard to tell, but it's raised up. It's a specific height. It's called 0.918 inches. It is type high, is what it's called. So that's the exact height that your design, or that the letters on metal and wood type would be, in order to make an impression in the paper based on the type of press you have. Once you have your design and you're ready to go, you will lock up your base, which is that rectangular gridded thing, in the chase, and the chase is the frame. You need keys and coins to do that. So the key is that, here's my letterpress shirt that I wore especially for this this after hours. I was very excited to have an excuse to wear it. You need keys and coins and furniture. So the key is that T-shaped tool. It will widen and loosen those wedges. Those are called coins, and so they'll hold the chase in place. And then furniture, if you can see, maybe I can make it bigger in my screen. Furniture is the little wooden slats you'll see around 3 of the sides, the left, bottom, and right side there in my screen anyway. And so if you had regular letters, you would just arrange your letters. You'd have to do them in reverse. And then you'd use furniture to like pad them and wedge them in there. And you want to make sure you do it on a flat surface. So next, please. Then you get your ink ready. So if you have, I have any painters on here, graphic designers. The Pantone book is my new best friend. You pick out a color, or some people mix just by hand. You look at the book, and there's formulas in this Pantone book. Ta-da! Oh, sorry, I'm terrible at this. And it'll tell you how many parts of different types of colors to mix up in order to achieve the exact color. In printing, this is exciting because it means you can exactly match someone's brand colors, or they could choose a color out of the book and you would mix that color perfectly, which is cool. We are learning that we need a very sensitive scale in order to do this.
Keeping the science in it.
Yeah. So it's we'll go back one, sorry. It's a little bit of a trip to do it, but it's been fun. I have rubber-based ink, so you can use both oil and rubber-based ink. We use rubber-based ink because it's not as hard to clean up, doesn't require solvents. You'll mix it similar to block printing on a glass slide, and it's always going to look pretty different on the ink knife than it will printed. So usually you try and smear it on a piece of paper, or you can see where the ink is thin on the glass there. That is a little bit truer to the real color. Okay, next. So then you'll put ink on the ink disc, and our press is manually operated, so you pull a lever, and every time you pull the lever, the ink disc turns clockwise. I don't know how many degrees. 1 hour, I would say, about. And you do that a million bajillion times until the rollers and the ink disc are evenly inked. And so that can take a little while.
And we can show all of this at the end, a little more in depth.
Then you'll prep the platen. The platen is in the picture on the right where my hands are. It's got waxed paper that's held by some gripper bars, and underneath that you have padding, which makes sure that you're getting a proper impression depth. It's like puffing the paper up a little bit. So if you have a bad uneven impression, it's probably because your make ready, which is the paper underneath the paper you're feeding, is needs adjusting. Then you'll put some guides to hold your paper. We use these sticky buttons called gauge pins that are foam and compressible. And then you put your paper on the guides and you painter's tape your design onto the paper. You peel off the adhesive on the back of the photopolymer plate. And then for us, we pull the lever once, it gets stuck onto the base, that base chase that we locked up. And you know that every time you feed your paper, because you had it painter's taped on there in the exact spot, will be the exact spot that the impression makes it onto the paper. Hopefully that makes sense. I know it's kind of tough to explain without really good photos, but we can point to the press a little bit later. So then every time you pull the lever, the rollers will grab ink from the ink disc, ink the photopolymer plate, and then the paper will clamshell onto the design. And so similar to screen printing, you print every color one at a time. So with a one color design like our whale cards, it just go through the press once. If you had two colors, it go through twice, so on and so forth. And you have to make sure that if you're doing two colors, it is properly registered, that it's all lining up correctly and you're not getting weird overlap unless that's on purpose. But essentially everything's hand fed through the press, the levers pulled, our shoulders get sore one at a time, any side and any color you need to print. So here are here's our garage studio. This is where we are right now. That's Meeks there in the corner. We call him the printing troll. He likes to hang out under the table. Here's a couple examples of things that people like to have letterpressed. Stationery postcards, tags or invitations, birth announcements, business cards, coasters are pretty common. Here are two of our very first test clients, a friend who makes earrings. So we letterpressed her logo. It's called a blind impression, so you don't ink the machine at all. You just press the paper straight on. So it impresses the design and you can see it, but it doesn't have any ink on it. And then we did a friend's family postcard there. So that is just the front of the postcard, but that wraps up our presentation. Hopefully that was interesting. I tried to breeze through it so that we have enough time for Q&A. Taylor and I will watch the chat. Ask us your questions. We advertise this both as a letterpress class, but also any kind of small business questions we're happy to answer too. Talk to you about our journey there. We've, oh, I guess we should say the new thing. So we figured this was going to be a good time to rebrand. We decided Marms and Meeks was beloved and useful, but a little bit hard to Google. So we are opening a new business. It's called Saltwater Press. We'll focus on letterpress services. We'll also press our own designs, do some block printing, and then probably keep some of the fun things that we used to do with Marms and Meeks, like Swedish dishcloths and all that jazz. And by nature, our own artwork is fairly science-based because that's what we like to share with the world, but we're also excited to print really any artist's work. So yeah. Thank you for listening. I'm going to take a sip of my drink.
We can also show the movement of the press.
Yeah, that might be helpful.
You want to do that?
The press and how it works, and that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'll hold the camera
Okay.
so I can get this right.
Oh, welcome to our garage, by the way.
Yeah.
One day we'll be in a studio, but not yet. So here's the press. Here's the lever. This is the ink disc. This is the base. Right here. It's a box. It's called a boxcar base. It's specially sized and has a specific thickness. So it's all locked up in the chase. You put it right down here. This entire machine is cast iron. It weighs about 250 pounds. Here are the rollers. These are probably the most precious part because you don't want them dinged or cut in any way. This is the platen. So this is where your make ready goes, your waxed paper. You'd stuff regular paper under here. When that's all ready, let me grab. Sorry. Here we go. Okay. Show you the gauge pins because I think it'll help you visualize it better. I can get it open.
I'll answer some questions while Megan is figuring that out. Not figuring it out, but setting it up. Do we have a new website for Saltwater Press?
It launches on February 1st. So everyone in this group tonight got a sneak peek at the new business, which is kind of cool.
Rochelle wants to know, are we still planning to print on maps and charts? Yes. There'll be block prints, not can't letterpress the charts, but
letterpress does better with thicker paper and 100% cotton. So you need a special kind of fiber in the paper so that the fibers themselves move and allow that depression of the plate into the paper. This is a gauge pen. It's foam. And so it'll compress and allow the plate to press all the way into the paper. And then there's a clear tab there. So that's what your paper would sit on. So you'd have several of these positioned so that when you went to feed your paper in here, it just rests like that. And your plate gets stuck right here. So the whale card design has adhesive backing that's reusable. You'd stick it right there. So you'd feed your paper. I'm not going to do it because I'm going to squish my hand. The rollers go up. They ink the design, and the paper gets pressed in, and then the rollers go back down and re-ink it for the next time. And you can see the ink plate moved. So you do this just over and over, but you manually feed a card every time. Larger presses, the floor model presses with the really big flywheels, you would, if you're manually operating them, you kind of get a rhythm going and you feed and remove and feed and remove. Or if you have a motor going, you feed and remove. And you have to get good at it. And it can be pretty dangerous because cast iron stops for no one. And so they say any fallen paper isn't worth your fingers. Don't ever go down and grab it. So we'll go back here and look at some messages.
Okay. Thanks, Jackie, for the compliment on the setup. Catherine wants to know, how are we going about rebranding and communicating to the world?
Well, it's taken us like 4 months to figure out our logo, so that's the current hold up.
We teased a lot on Instagram. We didn't want to just one day be Marms and Meeks, the next day be Saltwater Press. So we've drop some hints here and there. We have some test clients that I'm sure are getting the word out. But
we have some information on the Marms and Meeks website right now too, saying that it's time for a new adventure. We're going to be rebranding, and that page will hopefully stay up for a little bit, redirecting people to the new site. Luckily, we can switch over all of our social media accounts from their same profiles, so people won't have to refollow, which is very helpful, so that you don't lose audience members and patrons.
Benita said she can't see the live video. Just a picture of Taylor with the cocktail. That's
It's
just
frozen.
me, Benita. Can you see it now? Nancy, can you make the... Sorry, everyone, going through these. Pua likes our name. Thank you.
Took us a while. We went through so many names.
How flexible are those polymer plates, and how often can you reuse them?
It's hard plastic. Sorry up there. The adhesive backing is reusable, so it should be good for 100 times on and off the press. But every now and then the backing fails, and the plate company will send us new stuff, and we physically cut it. So the plate company prints per square inch. So sometimes I'll send multiple designs all in one, and then you just snip them apart, which is nice because similar to a screen, if a company sent us their logo to print, it doesn't have to be positioned the same way on every paper product every time. So on one card, it could be in the upper left corner, and on a different card, we just position the plate differently on the press and the paper differently.
The trick is not to lose this piece of paper, so we can put it back.
Yeah, the backing that protects it.
So every time we get like Megan was saying, every time we get a client, we can save their plate in a file and just reuse it as needed. Can you walk through the process of how would one submit a design to print and what happens after that?
How, Pua, do you mean submitting a file to us to print or to a plate making company? I'll let her type. I guess both. I could just go over both.
Okay.
The files.
If she had a sketch, she would like copies.
So we would need to vectorize your sketch, which I can do with my graphics design program. You just need a kind of a higher quality scan where the contrast up, so really white and really black. I vectorize it. That honestly takes more time working with the client, like getting the item itself to be that you want to print finalized, ready to go. And then once that's ready, it's a couple day turnaround. We can't make plates here. It's a fancy machine. Ultimately, maybe one day we'll have that in a studio, but they'll ship them FedEx Express, I think. And it's like 3 days to get the plates here from the day I order them.
Yes, any design could be submitted to us and could be pressed within a certain.
If it's different colors, then I have to separate the colors into different layers and then send that into the plate making company as 4 different files. If it was 4 colors.
When our website is up and going, we will have a section for inquiries and kind of whatever anyone wants. Rochelle said, you said the printing press needs a thicker paper. Would a standard watercolor paper work?
Yes, I can't guarantee that the impression would be the same, but watercolor and letterpress have been kind of finicky friends for a while. So most of the time people will just watercolor on cotton paper, letterpress paper, and it'll take watercolor similarly. You won't get the like watercolor texture that you're used to seeing, that same tooth, but the paint and the water will behave the same way.
Catherine, it seems like it's Jim. You're off to a great start.
Hi, Jim.
Thanks so much for sharing. Thank you for watching us.
Yeah, and thanks for teaching us how to block print. That was our like intro into the printing world. It's been really fun.
Do you have that new one you did?
Yeah, I do. I did a test block print the other day. See if I can get it. So we hope to not just do letterpress, but to do a couple other printing styles. And one of the ways I like to do my personal artwork is block printing.
While you're getting that, Lorelei says, how has your business changed from how you first envisioned it, and where do you hope it goes in the future? Big dream goals. Gosh, we started out really as a hobby. We didn't plan on making any money or, buying a letterpress from 1911 and working on it. But see, how have we changed? So many ways.
We learned a lot about accounting, websites, how to price our products. I think one of the biggest tips I would give to people is be prepared to put up a little money to start, but it doesn't have to be anything substantial. Like, I think you can get a business license and a website and whatever kind of payment processing things you need for $500 or under. And then we just worked slow. And so we made a point to only buy things for the business with the money we had made. And it was a pretty slow burn. And we saved almost all of our Marms and Meeks money for that press for a couple years. So,
and when we first started, like I said, it was a hobby, and then we thought we might want to sell things, so let's get a business license. But this time around, we want to go big. We would love to have a brick and mortar store, a shop, a studio, other than the garage. And so we've met with a lawyer. We've met with the accountants. We've met with who else? There's another person.
The Small Business Development Center has been a great resource. And so if you are yourself are thinking about starting a business or you get stuck somewhere, they're free. You have to answer surveys once a year, but they've been really, really helpful. Legally, they can't give you legal or tax advice, but they will link to workshops with tips for that. And watch the Arts Council too, because they often do workshops or host presentations on those topics.
We're working with Ian Grant from the Small Business Development Center, and he has provided us with a business projection model, and it's been helping us tremendously. Hey, Isom. You mentioned websites. Many artists struggle with that aspect. What resources would you point artists in to get started with their own websites? What costs are associated with that?
We used Squarespace for a long time. They have e-commerce plans. I think it's like $300 for a year. So
very easy to use. There's templates. You kind of just type in whatever you need, and it makes it fancy on their webpage. But this go around, I think we're going to switch to Shopify. It seems to be what everyone is using these days, especially for e-commerce.
I think one of our tips is think about your sales channels and where the majority of your revenue will come from. Is it mostly online? Is it mostly in-person markets? And or do you think it'll change or flex? And then research and choose a selling platform that works for you. One of the reasons we chose Shopify is because they offer both brick and mortar and online sales services. So I have been pretty frustrated. I wish that there were more options. Shopify and Squarespace are really the only options unless you're good at building your own website, which neither of us want to spend time doing that. So
no.
Cool.
Great.
Thank you so much for all of that. That was awesome. This will be available recorded for people later on if they wanted to share it with other people, or if they think someone else might find this interesting. I know I did. We have our next one coming up on our next after hours at the Lobby Shop on the 26th of February with Zen Lemon Arts. If anyone has ever been to the Jack Lobby Shop in the Jack building, you'll know Zen Lemon. They've been with us for a long time. They're beautiful. And where can people find you guys after this? On your website? And then will your website address change?
It will. The new URL will be saltwaterpressak@.com. And we'll have that on our social media. We'll try and get it updated on the Jack website, and then our old website will forward you to it. So
in the meantime, think of your dream stationery or business cards, invitations, whatever you want.
Thanks for hosting us. This was super fun.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. And we're going to shut it down. So thank you to everybody else that came and visited. And you'll probably get an email from us about future ones coming up.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.